Hey, this is William Floyd, bar none, and you're listening to Matt and Dexter Carter on The Grueling Truth.
Garoppolo, deep down the middle, that's a liftoff. Shanahan and Jimmy, Bill in Montana. Speaking for the Empire, salute from Santana. Yeah, handoff, down the middle. Beast through the D-line and made him look brittle. Out of nowhere, Sherman in the corner. 60 other way, huh? Kings of California. Every breath, tribute to the greatest. Dwight Clark in our heart since the catch when he made it.
As we build, brick by brick, no imitation, just stay patient while we reppin' them numbers. We are the 49ers. Who are we? We're the 49ers.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. Brought to you by Replenishing Care Technologies, the future in sports medicine. Check it out at thegruelingtruth.com. I'm one of your hosts, Matt Andrew Scavage. I'd like to welcome in our other co-host, Super Bowl 29 champion, former 49ers running back, Dexter Carter.
Yes, sir, Matt. Great to be here, my man. Hey, especially after a tremendous win, of the 49ers, man.
Victory week again. This is 4-0. This is four straight.
Four straight. And you know what? You'll hear from many people out there, who specialize in sports analysis, that realize, hey, we're one of the few teams that's undefeated, and may judge us by who we played. But the one thing that I've learned from Pop Warner to the pros and from great coaches out there and from being a coach on the college level, high school, Pop Warner, as you develop your team, especially what Kyle Shanahan and Lynch has done since they got here, this had to be a team that had to be turned around and had to be turned around in a specific way. And that's bringing in talent that fits your system and develop that talent, even better. So, and what I've learned is through that process, it's how we play, not who we play. And you can't look at the results sometimes. You got to look at how you're coming along as a team and in your team and player development. So a lot of people may say, which they have, the 49ers, look who they played. But I tell you this, anybody who truly knows football realize this team is good. And it's not who they're playing, it's how they are playing. So it doesn't matter who they play. They are playing great ball, and they're positioning themselves to be in a position that many didn't think they would be in, and that's having the chance to win the NFC West. And when you win your division, you got a chance to do great things, make it to the playoffs, and anything can happen from that point. But this team is developing into a tremendous team and exactly the vision that Lynch and Kyle Shanahan had. So I'm very, very excited about this team.
Yeah, same here. I mean, like you said, it's really about how they've played. And, as far as who they've played, the Rams got hung, Tampa Bay hung 55 on them. And the Niners beat them 31-17. And so, it goes both ways. But like you said, the most important thing, it's not really who they've played. It's how they've played. It's how they've progressed. This defense looks really good. They played the Browns. The Browns coming into this game were considered a special offense with a lot of special pieces. I kept hearing that word from analysts on both the offensive side of the ball and the defensive side of the ball. And the Niners won 31-3. Regardless if Cleveland is not good, that's domination. That's a good team. If that's a bad team, good teams got to dominate bad teams. The bottom line is, we're not saying they're going to be in the Super Bowl, but this is a massive progression from what we've seen the last two seasons.
Absolutely. And the 49ers went up against a team offensively. Come on, you got two all-pro receivers.
Yeah.
And you got a quarterback that has unlimited potential. And, the only thing stopping him is himself. And part of it is, in my opinion, his mantra, his attitude. And, I think he needs to zip it up a little bit and play more and talk less. But offensively, they got the potential. And I said it before the season, man, I'm excited to see this Cleveland Browns offense, see what they can do. So, you know what? Them not playing well has a lot to do with how the 49ers game playing defensively against them. And being from a defensive perspective, Cleveland, I mean, you look at their player by player.
It's a good roster.
Hey, it's a good roster. So this 49er team, I don't care what anyone else says, they beat a middle of the tier team in the NFL. And that's not bad.
That's not bad because they would probably don't win this game last year or the year before.
Absolutely.
So let's get into some of the key moments. Obviously, right now, the talk of the town is the defensive side of the ball. We'll get into that a little bit, but also let's talk about something near and dear to your heart, the running game. First play out of the gate from the on the offensive side of the ball, Matt Breida takes it 83 yards on a beautiful block by Kyle Juszczyk. And, man, did he turn on the Jets. And it sure reminded me of another former running back on Monday Night Football going down the sideline.
Oh, yes. I tell you what, I hope the fullback is okay because I believe he got injured and the game came out. But, man, I hope, it's not a long-term thing.
He's out 4 to 6 weeks, but he thinks he can beat that timetable.
Oh, man. Okay, well, you know what? We're going to be okay. But
it is a blow.
Valuable. Yeah, he's valuable to this here team. And trust me, Breida and Coleman, I'll be the first one to tell you, and I don't want to leave, I believe Mozart out either. I mean, trust me, he's a good back too.
Yes, he is.
But what this running game is doing and that first play of the game, trust me, the first thing came to my mind, and it's not selfishly speaking, because I had you just said the same thing. I could have put that 1990, my rookie year, Monday Night Football against the Rams, that handoff from Joe Montana going down the left sideline for 74. It looked so familiar. And I'm telling you.
It's the first thing I thought of.
Yeah. And Breida was going about 23 miles per hour. I would like to say my 4.3 was probably going about 24.2. I'm just saying. But I tell you what, man, I am so excited, for this team, but these running backs, Coleman is the real deal. Matt Breida, I got so much respect for him and what he has done to get to this here point. Undrafted, coming from Georgia Southern, where my son plays right now.
Yep, that's right.
And not to let any of that deter him, and just continue to fight for his opportunity. And it never fails. The cream always rises to the top as long as you do what you're supposed to do and you're prepared for that opportunity when it presents itself. So this running game, is indicative of, Mike Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan, offenses, you could look at the Broncos, you could look at the 49ers and just see that Kyle Shanahan's running game is written all over this, coming down from his dad, man. This is great. You get the running game going, and you got a good quarterback, and you got good receivers, a tight end that's freaking off the charts. Oh, man, the sky's the limit for this offensive unit.
It sure is. And right now, the running game is really taking it to the rest of the league. They've got over 800 yards total this season, the most in 4 games since 1959. So we're going back to the $1 million backfield days.
I'm telling you, absolutely.
But it's pretty great. Good to see it. Jimmy Garoppolo did not have to carry the team. He was efficient, going 20 for 29, had just under 200 yards, but importantly, no interceptions. And I believe he threw 2 touchdowns. So good, efficient day for Jimmy G. 275 yards rushing by the offense. Hey, that's all you need. If you get that kind of production and the defense playing the way it is, that's how you win football games.
And that's what's scary about it, Matt, is that Garoppolo had an efficient day, but he didn't have a statistic big day.
Yes.
And those days are going to come.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to come. That offensive line with 2 younger guys that weren't starting at the beginning of the season, and Staley's coming back later in the season. Oh, this offensive line is going to be even better than it is now. But depth, there's nothing greater than depth on a team, but more importantly, offense and defensive lines. That depth is incredible the way it's developing, and I'm excited about where this offense is going because Garoppolo, didn't have his best passing day, but it wasn't because he threw the ball bad. He was efficient. Yeah. It's the way the game plan went. Sometimes you run more than you pass, but the bottom line is this team still didn't show the best of what they have. Man, it's going to be awesome moving forward.
Exactly. Now, there were a couple of you talk about the depth. Well, we had a couple injuries. Kyle Juszczyk, took a shot to the knee. He's got a sprained MCL. It's going to sideline him. They say 4 to 6 weeks. He thinks he can beat that timetable, but he's going to miss probably at least 3 games. We'll see what happens going forward. And then a little bit of a surprise on Wednesday. Mike McGlinchey, the right tackle, got nicked up on a couple of plays. They took a look at it on Tuesday morning, and he had his knee scoped, and he's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks. So now Daniel Brunskill is going to start at the right tackle. Kyle Shanahan's got a lot of confidence in him, just as he had with Justin School on the left side. And you bring up Mike Shanahan and Kyle Shanahan's running schemes. They rely on athleticism by the offensive line, and that's what Brunskill is. That's what School is. That's what Weston Richburg brings at the center position. You can see he's healthy. So the schemes really can help this offensive line. They're running a lot of good counters. It makes it very tough for the defensive side of the ball, but they're going to have their challenges, no doubt. I mean, you don't just get replace guys like Staley and McGlinchey and just not miss a beat whatsoever. But they do have confidence that the depth can show up in these spots.
Absolutely. And one key thing that you mentioned is the athleticism of this offensive line, because when you're running zone and stretches where the back's got to go downhill and hit it full speed, and it's a one cut and go, these linemen got to be one cut and go. I know it sounds weird, one cut and go, but they've got to step. They've got to reach those tackles or those defensive players that are in position where they got to get that, right or left hand to the outside shoulder of that defensive player. And it's a one cut and go. And these guys do it, with some of the best. Terrell Davis was that one cut and go guy. I mean, Edgerrin James for, the coach was that one cut and go guy. You don't even have to be fast to run this. You just got to go downhill and make the right cut. Well, we got two guys that are fast, extremely fast. This offense, man, again, I said earlier, the sky is the limit for what they are capable of doing and what they're going to do.
That's right. So moving over to the defensive side of the ball, obviously right now the most important thing that's catching the eyes of the nation is the pass rush led by Nick Bosa, who had the highest Pro Football Focus grade of any player this week at 92.3. He is dominating. He is not just getting sacks, although he had 2. The most important thing that he's getting are pressures. Pressures equal big plays. You want to know why Richard Sherman has 2 interceptions compared to his 0 last year? Both of his interceptions this year, first against the Buccaneers, which was a pick 6, and then the first play after the 49ers scored their first touchdown. Baker Mayfield was pressured by Nick Bosa, had to get rid of the ball early, make a quick decision, and there was Richard Sherman right there to make the play. Pressure equals big plays, and it's been happening so far. This pass rush led by D Ford, DeForest Buckner, Nick Bosa, and also we're seeing a lot of production from Eric Armstead and Ronald Blair. They've got a lot of depth on this defensive line. They're getting it done up front, and it's really helping the guys out on the back end.
Hey, and Matt, we've been saying for years.
Exactly. What have we been saying?
I'm telling you, we've said that now the secondary, one, you got a healthy Sherman playing the way Sherman's supposed to play. And you've got young guys like Emmanuel Mosley, who nobody expected much from as an undrafted cornerback.
Boy, did he play well.
Played extremely well. Now, but what we've said, not just last year, but a couple of years, we said this defensive front that they're drafting and they're bringing in, these first rounders, it's only a matter of time that they get it. And, and once they brought in the defensive coordinator from Seattle and he's proven his worth, you know what? They're believing in his system. And we said, when that defensive front puts the pressure on quarterbacks, even if the talent level at the secondary didn't increase and the same guys were there, they would look even better, because once you put that pressure and make that quarterback make quick decisions, that secondary doesn't have to hold those receivers very long. But what nobody probably banked on is that, again, that talent evaluation, that Richard Sherman getting healthy, is that, one, you got a great defensive front that's finally doing exactly what they're supposed to do. And then you got Bosa. You talked about Bosa. What Bosa has is what he had at Ohio State, but it doesn't always translate to the next level. Yeah. He has a relentless pursuit of the quarterback, and it comes from effort and discipline. And this guy, doesn't matter what level he plays on, it's how we play, not who we play. Bosa doesn't care. Bosa is a trained technician on technique and how to out leverage a tackle and how to get to the quarterback relentless. And his effort, even when he doesn't sack the quarterback, that pressure is being felt by that quarterback. And he's eventually going to get there. And he's showing that right now. So you know what? Another great job by Kyle Shanahan and Lynch. I know we keep saying that and it sounds redundant, but it's real. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to do these things. It just takes a belief in a system and believing in it and implementing the right players and developing that talent in that system. And usually it works if, and they're bringing the right people in and they're developing it, man. And it's showing right now.
That's for sure. I mean, the undrafted finds are pretty amazing. Being able to get guys like Justin School in the 6th round and have them come in, and now they may have their swing tackle when both Staley and McGlinchey come back, because that was a big question mark, the depth this year. So we're going to see how it is, because we're going to transition over to the Rams game, which is coming up on Sunday, and it's going to be a big test. And the Rams aren't particularly playing well. And, they've got some challenges in their camp with injuries, with Clay Matthews being out for 6 weeks. Todd Gurley has not practiced all week with a quadriceps injury. And Marcus Peters hasn't practiced. So they've got some issues themselves. But you know what? I don't think the 49ers are worried about what the Rams are doing. They're worried about playing their game and making sure that their guys are winning their individual battles, just as we've talked about all along. So what are the keys to the game, in your opinion, for the Rams game?
One, again, when you look at film, I think Goff is a good quarterback. I think their offense is good. I think Gurley may not play in this game, but it shouldn't change the defensive scheme that we have. Again, I think it comes down to, one, relentless pursuit of that quarterback, getting to him, and that secondary continue to, build as a unit. And those linebackers, man, Alexander and what he's doing, he brings that fire. I think you keep doing what you're doing, and it's going to work. Now, the Rams are not what people thought they were going to be for different reasons at the start of the season. But the same way I say, don't worry about what people say about your undefeated record right now and the lesser teams that they say you played, is the same with the Rams. The Rams was one of the, them in Seattle picked the, 1-2, in the NFC West. They're not playing as good, or they've got some injuries, but nonetheless, their record shows. So you go into this game the same thing. You know what? You play against them as if they are that number one team. Mm-hmm. And don't worry about who they are. Worry about how you play, and I think they'll continue to, and they'll come out of this game, again, one of the few undefeated teams in the league.
So you got the 49ers winning this game?
Oh, without a doubt.
I like it, because I do too. I think there's I think they've got a great chance to win this game. I think they're riding a lot of momentum, and I think that matters. I think guys are beginning to believe. And so at least some of I think the veterans already believe, but the important thing is the young guys are beginning to feed off the veteran presence and believe what's going on. And so I see, even though there are some injuries, especially on the offensive line, that could affect the run game, I have full confidence that Kyle Shanahan is going to scheme his way through this. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be leaned upon a little bit more to make more plays, and I think they've got the guys to do that. If they can keep Jimmy Garoppolo from getting hit a lot, I think he can make the plays that they need to win. On the defensive side of the ball, the Rams have some problems on that offensive line, and the defensive line, I think, can get to Goff. And we've seen Goff have real trouble when he's faced pressure and when he's faced the blitz this year. So I would expect Robert Saleh to dial up some good old-fashioned Seattle Legion of Boom type blitzes where he just goes after the quarterback. And as we saw this past game, Quan Alexander and Fred Warner were sent in a couple of times, and they got sacks. And I just see Nick Bosa continuing to wreak havoc on the offensive lines, but also Dee Ford and DeForest Buckner. I think the Niners are fired up. They know that they're not getting a lot of love, but they're just worried about making plays, and I think they'll continue to do that.
Absolutely. And you're going to see better, and not saying that the effort hasn't been there from Ford. I think you're going to see even more effort, because when your counterpart on the other side is doing what he's doing, and you're a great player, oh, man, I think it's going to get worse for opponents. And Goff, I still think Goff is one of the top quarterbacks in the league. So his performance in this game or lackluster of a performance isn't going to make me judge him any less or say he's less of a quarterback. I just think that the 49ers, the pressure that they're going to bring is going to be the pressure that their opponents are going to have to get used to this year. And they're going to have to make quick decisions, and they're going to have receivers that are going to have to be precise in their routes because this secondary is going to be sticking to those receivers, like white on rice. So I just think it's only going to get better from here as long as they stay focused. And the one thing that I hope that they do as an entire team, and I'm sure Shanahan will talk to them because after the game, Shanahan talked about what they need to work on, not necessarily the accolades and how good they played. You got to say that. You got to give credit where credit is due. But as a coach, you got to focus on those things that we can do better. And one of those things that I think Shanahan would talk to them about is this. Don't worry about those naysayers. Don't worry about those guys who said that we weren't going to win this game or we weren't going to win many games this year. But let that be what it is. Don't let that be our focus. Let our performance, our talk, let it be our talk. So Sherman, I know he talked a little bit about it this week, and Sherman's too good to even worry about that. Sherman is an excellent player still. So he doesn't need to worry about, what people are saying. They're going to say it based on, we usually are what our past is until we do something to change it. And we are, as a 49er, our past 3 or 4 years is what it was. And until we do something to change it, then people's outlook isn't going to change. So I think right now, the 49ers are on the way to change people's attitude and their thought of how their season's going to turn out. But let the performance on the field do it. You're playing too good, Sherman. Don't even give them your time. You know what I'm saying? And because, again, man, the 49er faithful, they've been waiting for this. They've been still filling those seats. And you know what? That's who I feel great for because they've supported this team. And now they, in my opinion, got a winner. Just enjoy it and continue to get better and better.
That's right. So we had a little bit of a mailbag out on social media, and I did receive one response, actually a couple, but it was about the same incident. So I want to ask, what was your take on the Richard Sherman, Baker Mayfield handshake incident? From what I read, Sherman was showed the video where the handshake did take place, and he basically said, well, I thought it didn't, and I felt disrespected, and it fired me up, so I've moved on from it.
You know what? To me, that sounds like Sherman just lied. I'm just being honest.
And that's what I wanted to ask you. Is this a common thing that players do to find an edge to get themselves fired up, or do they just, what happened there? What do you think? I think
players do things to self-fire themselves up. But I've never heard of somebody just flat out lying. Come on, man. If you're looking at somebody and you dap them up.
Yeah.
For you to say he didn't dap you up, to fire you up, but then that's okay to fire you up. But to say he didn't dap you up is a disrespect and a flat out lie. And
I thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah, that is very odd. I don't know what was going on in Sherman's mind. And you know what? Hey, he's a Super Bowl champion. I'm a Super Bowl champion. He's a 49er now. I'm a 49er always. But at the end of the day, when I heard it initially, I'm like, oh, that's just Baker Mayfield being Baker.
That's what I thoued too. And then I saw the footage.
I like him as a player. I just think he needs to shut up and just play. And I think he needs to freaking be a leader without just a lot of the antics that he does. So when I heard it, I'm like, it made me emphasize, oh, that's just Baker. But then when a veteran says that, and I love Sherman. Come on, man. Keep it to yourself if you needed it to fire you up. But don't say it because, man, that drops you in the respect category, across, around the league. Not, oh, Sherman's a bad, not that, but just that one, oh, man, what can you believe from Sherman, again, when it comes to that situation, not in life, but in that situation. You know what I'm saying? He's never done it before, so I'm not going to hold it against him. But why would he do that?
I know. I thought that was kind of weak.
Yeah, that was very weak. Bosa had a legitimate gripe.
Yes. Yes, he did.
And perfect timing. to come back and do what he did. Sherman didn't need to do that, but he might have needed to do it for himself. But just keep it to yourself.
Keep it to yourself. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So bottom line, I think we see the 49ers playing pretty well this Sunday. This is a big division matchup. If they can win this game, I think this does a whole lot for their confidence and for their chances at winning the NFC West. And then this, the schedule, they play the Redskins, the Panthers, and the Cardinals after that, and then the Seahawks. So by the time the Seahawks come into town for the Monday night game, they should have a couple of these players back, like Joe Staley, Ahkello Witherspoon, and potentially Kyle Juszczyk and Mike McGlinchey as well. So there's a lot of really good things. This is a big game. Obviously, we don't want to look too much into the future. We're worried about the Rams right now, but I think they've got a great chance to win this game.
You know what? Not only do they have a great chance of winning this game, based on that schedule that you just put forth after this Rams game, because they're not looking forward past anybody. But but we can do it.
Okay. Yeah, we're allowed.
That's right. But when that Seattle game comes, it is a very realistic chance that this team could be undefeated.
It's possible.
Very realistic.
It's very possible. I agree. Yeah, if they can win this game against the Rams, there's a very realistic chance that if they win this game, that they could beat Washington, Carolina, and Arizona. There's no reason to believe that they'll lose those games, but we'll see what happens. I agree. I think there's a real chance. They're going to have a good record going into that game.
Right, and I don't see any reason why. It comes from the top down. Kyle Shanahan, in my opinion, he knows how to put that foot on the throat. Now, Bobby Bowden used to do it great back in our days. Man, he put that foot on your throat, and he didn't take it off. And teams used to complain, fans used to complain, why you blow teams out. And he said, I got a big enough job coaching my team. I can't coach both teams. I could put backups in there, but I'm not going to call plays for those backups to fail. So if y'all can't stop them, that's your fault. So that's what I see Kyle Shanahan, and the defensive coaches doing. They're going to put the foot on the throat, and they're not going to take it off. And the players, they develop that mentality and that thought from their coaches. So I think, going through this stretch after the Rams game, they're going to play against these teams as if those teams are top-tier teams in the league. I really believe that. They're not going to let this opportunity pass. You talked earlier about the rookies are starting to believe. Well, the players that have been here, they've gone through some of the self-doubt, are we going to get there where we want to be? So they're there now. They believe it.
Yep.
Rookies that are coming in know nothing otherwise. They don't know about that.
Sure.
What they heard. But so they're in here with a team that's undefeated. So that's their belief now of what they can be. So I don't think you worry about those young guys. Those young guys, one, their success depends on their performance, but their success also depends on the older guys, the veterans, on what their expectations are. So those younger guys raise their expectations based on what others think of them. So you better play. You're thrown in there. You're not a rookie anymore. When you're playing, you're a veteran. Yep. And I think that's the belief within the organization. That's what we used to have. That's why, we were in the NFC Championship game all the time. That's why we were winning NFC Championships every year, NFC West Championships, So, Kyle Shanahan's doing a great job of bringing that back. He's got the right staff in, got the right front office people. I am excited where this organization is going.
Same here. Well, there you have it. So this weekend, we're going to see the 49ers take on the Rams in L.A. Big game. Hopefully they can come away with a victory, and then who knows what's going to happen from there. So we're going to keep hoping that we're going to come back next week with continually talk about our undefeated 49ers. So we'll see what happens. So I want to thank everybody for listening. Check out thegruelingtruth.com. And so for Dexter Carter, I'm Matt Anderscavage. Thanks, everybody, for listening. You've been listening to the 49ers Weekly Show on the Grueling Truth Sports Network, where the legends speak.
Go Niners.
Go Niners.